Zero UFC. It really got me in a pinch. There's no grappling, there's no clinch, there's no submissions that you cinch. I'm actively losing my mind. And it's almost Christmas. What a dinch. I might as well steal it all. I'm getting green, so call me Grinch. Yeah, baby, yeah. Getting green, brother. This is real money. All my life I make this, brother. A little bit small, a little bit, but... Guys, I hate that there's no UFC. You always say that, oh, without UFC, I'll be fine. Maybe I could just find another hobby. I have other things I do, but no UFC is really hitting, And it's it pisses me off because I have nothing. I have barely anything to do on Saturdays now. Dude, what am I going to do Saturday night, dude? There ain't no UFC. So fuck, dude. But here we are, week whatever. I'm not keeping count. I'm just going with emotions. I've been spending so much money because Christmas and all that, but it had me thinking, what's my wish list? Because there's some fights I really want to see or not want to. I must see these fights in 2026. So this is pretty much my wish list. I'm going to be going through every single weight class, and I'm going to be talking about fights that I need in 2026, not want, need. Need means necessity, understanding, forcefully enforcing yourself in a scenario because it's something that you can't live without. Dare I say, if I don't see some of these fights, little bit problem might commence if I get upset. So we're going to go through every weight class, starting with the smallest weight class. And this is a fight I need to see. And I need to see this fight for multiple reasons. One reason, because if you don't make this fight as soon as possible, I'm afraid this fight's not going to happen. Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira. We need the battle of the young guys, guys. Listen. 24, 25, I'm 23. This is me getting a championship fight against another 23-year-old who I would 100% beat because, real bad man, handsome and look. But I really want to see these young guys fight. We cannot let Manil Cap ruin this. I say ruin because I know Manil Cap would, I don't know. Let me not say anything. I really like Tatsuro Taira, guys, and I really like Joshua Van. So I kind of want them both to fight so the best man can win. And I have a gut feeling if Manil Cap fights Taira for a number one contender spot, Manil Cap can make Taira look pretty, not bad, but he might beat him. The Roy Val fight with the Taira, it gave me PTSD, because the way Taira couldn't move his head against Roy Val, I'm listen, I don't want to see a vet do that to Taira again, man. If Taira's going to get done like that again, let it at least be Joshua Van. I also think it's a clash of styles. Joshua Van's, of course, the Marauder with the probably the best boxer in the world right now across every weight class because he has a lighter man speed as well. And then Taira's just one of the best grapplers I've ever seen in my entire life. So I like the clash of styles more than anything here. And just the battle of the young guys, 24-25, the youngest championship fight in UFC history. We need to make history before Manil Cap comes in here and maybe becomes champion. Manil Cap can beat both of these guys, just like both these guys can beat Manil Cap. But I feel like we got to keep Manil Cap away from the title for a little bit before we give him that shot, because once he gets that shot, you never know if he's going to win. There's a chance he wins. I still think him and Joshua Van are 50-50, but before I even think about saying that, I need to see this. We were promised this after Taira's last win, by the way. The way he disposed of Moreno, oh yeah, man, Taira's next, dude, And now they're trying to flip the script because Manil Cap did exactly what I thought Manil Cap was going to do. I told you guys Manil Cap was going to go in there and he was going to beat Roy Val. I knew Roy Val was good, but I understood Manil Cap is better. Yeah, but Manil made it look a little bit better. Manil did it in better fashion. Well, not better fashion. I guess Taira, getting rid of Moreno is good too, but he did it within 2 rounds. But getting rid of Roy Val in 1 round, and Roy Val's kind of known for that absurd chin, is it just made Manil look really good. But I know he deserves it probably more than Taira, but I don't want to see it because I don't want him to ruin the young guys' world. So let me just see the young guys fight, and then Manil Cap wait for the winner and fight, rightfully so. But moving on from Flyweight, we're going to get into the Bantamweight weight class because I feel like I need to see this fight as soon as possible. You already know where I'm going to go with this, by the way. Peter Yan and Umar Nurmagomedov, and why I need to see it is because casuals must be humbled. I'm done with my comment section. I'm not going back and forth with you guys anymore, Matt. Not going back and forth. Yeah. I don't even go. It's funny because I always read the comments. I just ignore them for the most part. But I need this to happen. And I know the UFC, if Sugar Sean O'Malley beats Song Yadong, Sugar's going to get his 3rd title fight within the span of 2 years within the span of a year, pretty much. But that's what the UFC wants, of course. They want Sugar to get title fights as much as possible. Sugar probably will get about 5-6 title fights within the next 2 years. But that's just how the UFC wants Sugar to go. And I understand why the UFC wants him. They're looking for a new superstar. So Sugar's going to, every single time he beats someone, he'll just get another title shot. It is what it is. And he's going to beat Song Yadong. I like Song, but brother, he's going to get beat up very comfortably. But I need this fight more than anything because there's a funny agenda going into this fight. Now, I understand I'm in the minority thinking Umar's going to school him, and I understand why I'm there, and I understand that the majority is like, oh, Jan's going to school him. There's very few people saying it's 50-50. I do think there could be a balance in between. Like, when I say Umar's going to school him, I say, like, Umar could 50-45 him, but the rounds be close. Kind of like what he did to Corey Sandhagen. Corey's a great striker. Corey's a great, better grappler, in my opinion, than Peter Yan. When I say grappling, I'm talking about, like, his submission threat, other things. Like, he rolls really well. And Umar handled that really well. So I feel as if these two were to fight, it'd be interesting because I do think Yan has great takedown defense, but I feel like people are underrating the striking of Umar because they don't really look at Umar as a striker. But this is one of those fights I really need to see so I could also understand what's going on because I have my opinions. And I do think Jan's good. People got upset I had him over my overrated video. He's not bad. It's just that I don't believe he's as good as some people make him out to be. And I think someone like Umar Nurmagomedov could show him what skill is. Umar is really good, guys. He trains with the best. He looks good every fight. You know, if it's Batista fight, he's shown us that his chin, like he can get caught clean on the jaw while throwing a punch and he refuses to get knocked out, man. Some people refuse to get knocked out, you know. Umar's one of those people, like he refuses. Like Khabib, like I always see Khabib get hit with these crazy shots. He doesn't even get rocked or go down, but even though Umar gets hurt or something, he just doesn't go anywhere. Like his chin's very underrated, man. And I think Jan's not really known for crazy power, but I think it'll be an interesting fight. I think it'll be a competitive fight, but I still think Umar could literally win every single round against someone like Peter Yan. I don't know if he finishes him, but I think he wins every single round. So I just don't want Sugar to ruin this. Yes, I know Sugar deserves a title fight every single time he wins based on the UFC's criteria. He doesn't really have to do much, but as far as like who deserves it, it's Umar, of course. But are they going to give it to him? You know, it's a fresh fight for Peter Yan. He's never fought Umar and vice versa. I kind of want to see new fights. I understand the UFC and especially the Bantamweight weight class, they like rematches. I'm someone that going into the new year, I want new fights. I want fresh fights. This happens to be one of them, so I hope I get it in Bantamweight. And I hope what I've been saying comes to fruition, but it usually does, so I'm not going to be surprised when it does. Umar's going to go in there, beats on him, Dr. Dre, hands on him, lots of base. But we're going to have to see when the fight happens, but I already know. I'm telling you right now, brother. Trust me. I'm the best. Moving on from Bantamweight, give me the featherweights and not Yair. See, it's funny because I was going to make Yair. It says Yair right there. It's supposed to be Lerone Murphy versus Movsar. The reason I even had Yair is because I was like, Movsar hasn't fought them, and people are thinking Yair's number one. But then I realized, no, Yair's not even number one contender. He almost got the shot against Volk for literally no reason. It should be Lerone versus Movsar because it's the only interesting fight, I guess. You know what I've noticed, though, looking at the featherweight weight class? I don't care about anybody. Like, I don't care about anybody. Like, even Volk. Dude, I don't really care about much about this weight class. Like, Volk's cool, but, like, I think the UFC doesn't realize giving us fights like Volk versus Lopez when we just saw it, it kind of like pisses us off to a point where like we don't really, like we're starting to lose interest in this weight class. That's why I feel like the UFC's got to do an important job with like making us care. Like I don't care about Lerone versus Volk. I'm not hyped for that card, you know, because that card is just a fight that doesn't really make sense. So you're not really going to interest me. The only reason this one's somewhat interesting me is because it puts out a clear number one contender, I guess. Outside of that, I don't really care about this fight. You know, I don't look at this fight like, oh yeah, man, Lerone versus Movsar. I do want to see Movsar get back in there, but even Movsar, man, like I was high on him, but the more he doesn't fight, the less I get on him. Like, oh, he's such a, you know, I just want to see fights and I want to see clear number one contenders. And I know that the UFC, even with clear number one contenders, they're not gonna make sure the number one contender gets the fight because that's kind of how they operate. But at least like the fans can know a clear number one contender. Like at least let us know, you know. Hey, like I don't want to just be floating around saying, oh, maybe this guy or maybe just make these two fight because I feel like they're at the front of everyone's line. I was thinking at first Yair was in the front of the line. I'm like, why am I even talking about Yair? He beat Pitbull. What the hell's Pitbull? You know, like fuck off, man. So yeah, Lerone and Movsar are the only interesting fight. So they should fight for it and make sure we get a clear number one contender. Because brother, I don't know these guys. Like I don't know who number one contender. People are talking about Gene Silva who got knocked out. Like come on, dude. Moving on from this though, we got lightweight in. I think it's Arman versus Ilya, of course. Now this one was difficult to write because I actually almost write Arman versus Patty, but I was like, bro, I don't even know what's going on. They just need to start protecting Ilya. Understand the UFC's, like I said, this whole Paramount push has been kind of narrative pushings and narrative shifts. So I understand they want to protect Patty, but I want to see the highest level fight. This could be the highest level fight in UFC history. Now, they're going to say I'm glazing, but just the stylistic clash of this is just really important, and I really feel like it's a real test for Ilya. I'm not saying Max Holloway and Volkanovski weren't real tests, but they're stylistic matchups for Ilya where Ilya's going to enjoy it because they know they're going to go in there and try to strike with Ilya. Ilya believes, rightfully so, he's the best boxer in MMA, today and arguably in history. And he should feel like that because look what he's doing to these guys. But Armin's not going to go in there and do that. Armin has made it evident what his game plan is. He's going to go in there, he's going to take him down, he's going to try to smash him and finish him. And I like that from him. We've seen Bryce Mitchell do it, so why would Armin not believe that? I just feel like I want to see an interesting fight. If this fight doesn't happen in 2026, one is never going to happen ever. So we're really going to miss a chance. I do have a weird gut feeling. This is going to be one of those fights we talk about in the future that, imagine this fight happen. I have a really good feeling because Armin's saying things, Ilya's saying things along the lines of he might have like 1 year left in the sport. Oh my, and then the UFC, and then like he has this whole wife thing going on, so he's probably gonna come back like mid next year, and then once he finally comes back, he's probably gonna have to fight Paddy. And then after he beats Paddy, he's like, I have nothing else to prove. I knocked out the guy, defended my belt. I'm done with it. I'm gonna go to boxing. Think about how dumb that shit. And then we'll never see this fight. Then we'll never see this fight, and that's what's gonna ruin everything. It would actually get me. That would actually piss me off. And I see it happening. So let me just wish upon a star, brother, that this fight happens, knowing deep down it's probably not going to happen. And I know we all think it should happen, which makes it worse because we know it's not going to happen. I just feel like the UFC, I know they're not going to stop trying to just make fights that they think are interesting, but I'm just hoping somebody on the staff, maybe they hire somebody who's like, you know what, maybe we should use these rankings. Maybe we should use the UFC website where it says the number one contender can earn the title shot, or maybe we should just throw away the rankings. I don't know. I just feel like they should account for rankings a little bit more, especially in situations like this when literally the whole world, I don't see, and it's funny because outside of the UFC, I don't see anyone tweeting like, please, Paddy deserves it. Let Paddy get it. I don't see anybody talking about, hey man, please, Paddy. Like I'll push it for Paddy, man. Paddy, yeah. No one says that. So why are we going to act like people are like, oh yeah, we want that? I don't care what Dana thinks is more popular. At the end of the day, the UFC community, we want Armin versus Ilya. Everyone who watches UFC, they want Armin versus Ilya. I don't see a soul saying Paddy. So the UFC should get out of their like egotistical mannerisms and try to drop that shit and just give us the fights we want. This is one of them. And this is a wish list thing because I really feel like it's not even going to happen. But it's my wish list. Moving on from lightweight though. We got welterweight, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this one, but I don't care what you disagree with. I need to see Islam versus Usman. This solidifies his GOAT status. I'm done with their narratives, but Kenny Morales does so much more for Islam's legacy. Shut up! You're lying. Morales? Dude, but Protez would do so much more for legacy. Ian Gary would do so much more for his leg. Like I tell you, I kid you guys not. Everyone, all those guys have lost except for Morales. All those guys have lost, and we see them losing the UFC octagon. And as far as like Morales guys, I'm telling you right now, when he loses to Islam Makhachev, by the way, Islam, like I know Islam's gonna beat him, like taking him down, making him look inferior on the ground and submitting him. They're gonna be like, okay, well, who is he even beating? They can't do that with Usman, and they can't play the old man game. And I'm gonna explain why they can't play the old man game. Before Buckley versus Usman, the whole narrative was, that Buckley was gonna go in there smoke Usman. Then people are saying, oh, but Buckley stylistically, Islam never went against someone so powerful and strong and big and huge. Now that Usman smoked Buckley, the narrative shifted. The narrative then shifted like, who does Buckley even beat? Buckley was on a losing streak. No, Buckley was on a great win streak. And if Buckley was going to beat Usman, he was actually set to be the next person to fight Islam, or fight the winner of Islam JDM. But you guys aren't even remembering that because you guys could act like, oh yeah, well, I forgot that happened. No, you didn't forget. You just acted like that. I've seen Usman specifically come in on 10 days notice after losing 2 in a row to Leon Edwards against Hamza Chimaev, who on paper is one of the best, if not the best, fighter in the world. Arguably, we could be real, and he goes in there and wins 2 rounds out of 3, arguably. So let's talk about that. And people are saying, yeah, but I think Hamza is not as good as the wrestler as Islam. I'm telling you right now, Islam's gonna have no success in the grappling. If any, nothing. He's not gonna be able to hold down Usman like Hamza is. One thing about Hamza, he's exceptionally strong. And probably the strongest guy pound for pound in UFC history. In my opinion, the way he ragdolls people, moves them around, no matter how big and strong they are, even like Usman. Usman's massive, man. First of all, Usman's not like a JDM welterweight. He's a bigger welterweight. He's towards the Morales and the Sean Brady size in welterweight, the 199s, the 200s. But Usman was actually bigger than Buckley, who looked huge prior to that, like prior to him fighting him. And Buckley just fought at 185, and Usman was ragdolling him, strength mogging him. So don't think for a second that Islam's going to be able to, body lock Usman and drag drag him to the ground. If you think so, brother, book this fight. We'll see what happens. I know this is the only real and proven test. When I say proven, we've seen Usman in his last 2 fights go to war at 10 days notice against Hamza Chimaev and smoke Buckley. You could try to act like Hamza sucks, but you know you're playing yourself. You could try to act like Buckley sucks and you got smoked, but you know that if Usman never did that, there would be no narrative that Buckley sucks prior to that in the 170 weight class. People thought he was, after going down from 170 into 170, after losing to Mavov and all these other guys, he's looked great. That was the narrative. And then Usman switched that narrative, and you fell for the narrative switch, and then you started to dick ride like, oh, wait, now that I think of it, come on, easy. He's not even like, don't do that, man. Don't do that. This is the hardest stylistic matchup possible for Islam Makhachev. Islam knows it too. I know Islam knows it because Islam has said that he thinks Usman will smoke Morales and smoke Prates and Ian Gary and all these guys because he was take them down and just take them to deep waters. Islam knows this. Islam's very objective to this. This does the most for Islam's GOAT status. So if you want Islam to be the GOAT, we need fights like this. Beating Morales is not going to push us farther than the GOAT status. Don't try to confuse this like a Stipe Miocic fight. I've heard people say like, oh, this is like Jones beating Stipe. It does nothing for his legacy. Chat, Stipe was on a 2-year layoff after getting brutally knocked out. He wasn't riding any momentum. He wasn't coming off a win. Usman coming off his loss against Hamza, even against Buckley, that wasn't a bad loss to Hamza, and then he smokes Buckley like that. You guys are not putting context into this. It's not like Usman looked trash against Buckley. He destroyed Buckley. If he was trash, he would have got done like Kobe, shooting takedowns, getting stuffed, and because Buckley beat the shit out of Kobe. Kobe was shooting takedowns and just getting fucking sprawled and just had it put on him. That's not Usman. Usman's different. Striking wise, Usman has the best jab in the game still. Great straight punches. People say Usman's striking didn't look great against Buckley. Buckley's just a very explosive striker who throws very inaccurately but runs into you 100 miles per hour. That's not how Islam strikes. The fight will look very different on the feet. I think Islam has an advantage in this fight. If I had to throw my money on someone right now, I'd say Islam. That being said, I think Usman's the hardest fight for him, and I think it does. And I know it does the most for his legacy. You could try to act like it's not true, but you know deep down it is. Moving on from the welterweight weight class, though, we got middleweight, and this is what I said. Israel Adesanya versus anybody, bro. Chat, I looked at the middleweight division. I got to be so transparent with you guys, First of all, the division's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, now that Hamza's champion, I really feel like the division is, I don't want to say lost interest, but I'm like, there's no one competitive with Hamza. There's no one competitive with Hamza in this weight class, in my opinion. And then, like, every other, like, fights are being booked. Yes, Fluffy versus Strickland, that's cool. I think Brahalo and RDR are booked. These are cool. But I don't know where Adesanya would go from here. Like, Brendan Allen, maybe Paulo Costa, DDP rematch. Those are the only people who aren't booked, And I doubt DDP wants to rematch Izzy because, like, DDP, he knows he's probably losing. Like, despite what the scorecard said, everyone who watched that fight, like, DDP, like, I'm not going to go through a hard fight like that again. Like, no way. Especially not for, like, a belt or anything. And Izzy's on the why would I do that? Costa, he's below Izzy in the rankings. Izzy already smoked him before, but I'm sure Costa would want. I don't even know if Costa would want that. Maybe Costa will run it. I think Brendan Allen's the most realistic one. I've heard people say they think Allen beats him. Sure. Listen, they could book the fight. I would love that for Izzy. Like, but then again, even that, I'm like, okay, like, oh, Brendan Allen. Like, if Izzy beats Brendan Allen, I'm not going to care too much. I know people are hyping up Allen because he beat RDR. I like that. I'm going to pretend like Allen's all that great, so maybe he could fight Izzy. That'd be great for me. But everyone else seems booked in middleweight. That weight class is a little bit lackluster. There's not really someone I want to see Hamza fight. Like, I could say Hamza and Mavov, but that fight's cool. I like both fighters, but I know how it goes. I guess with Izzy, is like, I want to see how good Izzy still is. Because I would love a Hamza fight with Izzy, no matter how it goes. And I think Hamza smokes Izzy, but I would love to see that fight. I just want to see Izzy back, man, because the middleweight division, it's not that it's boring. It's just that, I don't know, man. Hamza being champion makes every other fight look objectively easy to predict. And that's my take on that. But Adesanya versus anyone, listen, I'm satisfied, man. He's a real bad man. He has good striking. He moved well. I just want to see him back in the ring. I want to see him have a Volkanovski-esque comeback. That'd be great. Like, not even winning the belt, but just beat the hell out of someone. If Brendan Allen has to be the victim, see you soon, boy. Shout out Yo Romero. All right. Next up, I have light heavyweight. I actually have an interesting one I feel like people didn't see coming. Asma versus Yuri Prochazka. I want to see this fight. This fight will answer important questions. Now, I did say before his fight with Rakic, this would be important for Asma to see how he does. But the way he disposed of Rakic, I was like, wait, is he better than I thought? Or did I just think Rakic was a little bit better? Because Rakic was smoking Yuri until he wasn't. Rakic, he was smoking Jan Blachowicz before the little freak accident. Rakic, he was doing good against Ankalaev before Ankalaev grew momentum and won the second and third comfortably. Well, Rakic's game, but the way Azamat sniped him, Rakic was fighting a little bit weird though, trying to grapple. It was weird, but Azamat sniped him, man. And Azamat's like a 5'10" ankle lab. That's how I see him. But this will show how good Hamza really is, because he's undefeated. This guy's never faced defeat. He's going against some pretty sound opponents now. If he can get Yuri out of there, that would actually be interesting. My whole thing about him is that, like, I've seen in the couple fights he has won the distance, he did slow down. I know Yuri's going to put a pace on him, so it may get Yuri chinned, or it may expose like some faults we could see in an older, shorter, light heavyweight like Azamat. Not even that old, but like everyone in light heavyweights like a little bit in the like mid-30s. But I think it'll show like a lot about Azamat and Yuri Prochazka. Yuri's known for like he'll get clipped, but he'll keep coming. But Azamat's a really good counter power puncher. So and a good counter puncher. So is Yuri gonna walk into something and get slept, or is Yuri gonna take some shots and overwhelm Azamat over the course of 3 or 5 rounds? I want to see this in a main event. Maybe a fight night main event. Probably not, because they're very important. They'll probably be like on a 3-round main card on a pay-per-view. But listen, no matter what I see them in, I just want to see what's really going on in this light heavyweight division. Like Ankalaev, I think Ankalaev's going to fight Jan Blachowicz. I just have a gut feeling, because I saw Blachowicz tweet out something recently talking about here we go again or something. And Blachowicz is coming off like a draw-ish fight, so I think they're going to have Ankalaev fight him or something. So if that's going to happen, if I'm correct about that, I do want to see Azamat versus Yuri. I think stylistically, this is a really good fight. Like it's gonna be a battle of the styles, and I feel like I don't know which styles can prevail. Like Yuri might come with his cowabunga, like I'm coming, cowabunga, and it's like rock on a little bit. Azamat might be like little bit, let's strike, let's wrestle, let's clinch, we'll do everything. I want to see which style prevails. If I had to put money on someone right now, I'll go Azamat. Azamat really impressed me with that Rakic fight, but like I said, I'm not fully sure how this fight plays out. But if I had to lean someone right now, I'd say Azamat. But I do want to see this for both guys' stake. And if Azamat goes in there and smokes Yuri, like if he smokes him, this guy, we're talking about championship fight. I'm sure Perez is going to vacate soon to go up to heavyweight. But yeah, regardless, I'm going to want to see Azamat fight for the title if he goes in there and smokes Yuri the way I think he could do. Now, for last but not least, heavyweight, kind of obvious. Gane versus Aspinall. I don't know why that says Pereira. I think it's because I said at first I wanted to do Gane versus Pereira, but I switched it. I said this is just a necessary rematch. I feel like they have beef this time, which actually makes me want to see a little bit more. At first, I was like, I don't really care about this fight. Like, sure. But, like, yeah, Aspinall was taking some shots at him on Twitter. Oh, you're going to poke your dirty fighter. I wish if I had a good British accent, I'd rip one real good right now. But my accent's not that good. But yeah, he was pretty much saying that Gane intentionally cheats and all that. So I do like the little beef behind this one this time. So I am very obliged to see them fight if they do. How the matchup goes, already said in the first prediction that Gane's the hardest fight for Tom Aspinall. I did say that Cyril Gane's going to shock a lot of people. I was right about that. This time around, I feel the same way, except I feel like Gane's going to win more confidently. This time around. Last time I was kind of still like, I think Aspinall still sneaks it through, but it's just a lot harder. Whereas this time I think Gane wins over the course of 5 rounds pretty fundamentally, pretty comfortably. And Tom Aspinall will actually be a little bit less trigger happy because he'll be fearful of the eye poke. I think the eye poke puts something in his head, that makes him a little bit more fearful. But yeah, I got Cyril Gane in this fight if they do fight again. But this is the fight I want to see the most in the heavyweight division that I feel like also is a pretty lackluster division. But that's it for me, guys. Let me know what you guys think about this wish list. And let me know some fights you guys want to see down below. That's it for me. God bless. 2, 3, 4.